This is part 2 of why I think Jesus is beautiful. I don't know how long this series is going to be. This is in Luke 13, in verse 10. It says, "And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath, and there was a woman who for 18 years had had a sickness caused by a spirit, and she was bent double and could not straighten up at all. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, 'Woman, you are freed from your sickness.' And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made erect again and began glorifying God. But the synagogue official, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, began saying to the crowd in response, 'There are 6 days in which work should be done, so come during them and get healed, and not on the Sabbath day.' But the Lord answered him and said, 'You hypocrites, does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the stall and lead him away to water him? And this woman, a daughter of Abraham as she is, whom Satan has bound for 18 long years, should she not have been released from this bond on the Sabbath day?' And he said this, all his opponents were being humiliated, and the entire crowd was rejoicing over all the glorious things being done by him." It's just interesting going through the Gospels and seeing people try to tell Jesus that he can't do something that he wants to do, and trying to use the law to entrap him or cage him. And it's like, he's the law, he's the law, he's the lawgiver, he's the judge, and they try to use the law against him to try to keep him bound. And it says, was the verse 14, the synagogue official. So this is someone with like authority, a religious leader, and he sees Jesus healing, and again indignant, became angry because he healed on the Sabbath. So these are teachers of the law. He's the synagogue official. He has authority over the synagogue. And then he sees Jesus perform a work, and he becomes angry that he broke the law, thinking that he broke the law. And then he's trying to get the crowd riled up, saying there are 6 days in which work should be done, so come during them and get healed, and not on the Sabbath day. So this religious leader is trying to get the crowd against Jesus for doing a work, and he's using the law and teaching on the Sabbath and rest to try to do that. He's trying to humiliate Jesus and overpower Jesus with the law. And the Lord answered him. And he just like lays it out like, "You hypocrites, does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the stall and lead him away to water him?" And he has to like kind of like talk to them like they're kindergartners with a children's book. Like, let's use farm animals and that picture book to explain, what it is that I just did. This commandment, you see it one way, but you don't even understand the meaning behind this commandment, and you're trying to accuse me of breaking it. But let me show you what the commandment is actually teaching. And he uses this, picture where it's like, "Don't you untie your ox or your donkey from the stall and lead him away to water him?" It's like you take care of your cattle. You treat your cattle better than this woman. And it's like you're willing, you have better care over your farm animals than concern over this woman. this woman, a daughter of Abraham as she is, whom Satan has bound. So he like uses that same imagery where it's like you untie your ox or donkey and this woman is bound. Should she not have been released from this bond on the Sabbath day? So it's like in Jesus' mind, he sees this woman, and when he frees her from the sickness, it's like he's untying her, he's leading her away from the stall, and he's strengthening her, encouraging her, giving her water, releasing her from her sickness that was caused by a spirit. And that's all done like in the spiritual realm. He just laid hands on her. Well, and he said, "Woman, you are freed from your sickness." They had so much knowledge, and it was unprofitable. All of this knowledge, laws, rules, outward works, and they like took pride in themselves for their obedience and their appearance and their law keeping and their external law keeping, and they try to use that as leverage over people, saying like, "You're not keeping the law." And Jesus responds, he's like, "You don't even know what the law is teaching. You don't even see it." And I just like how Luke phrases it in verse 17. As he said this, all his opponents were being humiliated, and the entire crowd was rejoicing over all the glorious things being done by him. It's like, it could have been a simple interaction, but the way that Luke views it, it's like a basketball game or some type of like intense like sports rivalry where it's like all of his opponents are being humiliated. He's just like responding in a way where like they're just silenced. And the entire crowd was rejoicing over all the glorious. It's like he had spectators, people watching him, people listening, people, what's he gonna do? I think in the beginning it says that, you know, the eyes of the synagogue were fixed on him. They're just observing him. They're like waiting, and it's like they're watching him, and he has a response, and then they're just like, whoa! Oh, that poor synagogue official. It's just embarrassing. Like that was his job. And he carries himself like he has authority, he has a position, and he's like using that position to, like if you're the synagogue official, you should be using that position to, he should have been healing the woman, releasing her from the sickness. But he just like uses it as leverage. It's like in Ezekiel 36 where it talks about the false shepherds, and instead of feeding the sheep, they like rule over them with severity and insult them. I just think it's great. I think he's great. I don't know how to close it. I don't really plan these. My biggest thing is that all of these are done in like one take, because I don't want to like record and re-record and edit and then splice and then make sure everything's perfect, because I'd probably never have a video to upload. So I just think about texts I want to talk about and I talk about it, and then I just never really think it through, I guess. So they don't have like a conclusion, so I'm sorry that these aren't neat. Yeah, follow Jesus.